sí, podemos decir...
jugador. I prefer a male.
I don't know.
No?
A female, I don't know.
What was that all about? That was the answer we got when we asked Spaniards to name a female athlete who plays for Spain.
For many people here in Barcelona, sport is a huge part of their identity. So why is it that we get this answer when people are asked if they can name a female athlete who plays for Spain?
Clearly something is wrong. We wanted to take a look into how the different aspects of sport play into one's identity, specifically women in Spain. To start off, we began at the earliest stage in which sport could affect someone, in school.
After the 1970 general education law that mixed education, both sexes were still not treated equally. Then, the 1990 Spanish education law changed things, creating a non-discriminating physical education system.
We spoke with several people about their education while growing up, and here are a few responses we got when we asked what their physical education was like.
Pues abdominales, flexiones,
Sí.
correr.
Oh, sí.
No utilizábamos mucho, no eran deportes colectivos.
Las clases, gimnasia, era la gimnasia que hacíamos en el colegio, en primero, TGB, segundo, entonces era la básica.
We did, for example, exercises in the classroom or some exams, but not more conversation.
For the young adults that we spoke with who grew up in Spain, physical education was very basic. Everyone we talked to felt like they got more experience from participating in a sport outside of classes or a club not at school.
Also, the classes that the women described seemed much more about assignments and working individually than learning how to play with a team. The issue really seems to be at the heart of why girls in Spain don't get involved with team sports at a young age.
For example, Naomi said she took classes such as ballet or gymnastics that was highly encouraged, but team sport was not. In contrast, one of our interviewees from the United States, Taylor, was talking about how she played a variety of sports as a kid, and they even created some while in class. She went on to discuss the specific team she played for.
In grade school, I did basketball and volleyball and cheerleading and all of the sports through school, and then in high school I was just a cheerleader also through school.
It seems that kids in the U.S. are exposed to more of a variety of sports than here, which is a problem that corresponds with women getting involved in sports at a young age. Without enough opportunities to find something they like when they are young, they lack not only the drive to learn a sport, but how to work on a team with people.
Benilde Vasquez, one of the founders of the Women's Sport Commission within the Spanish Olympic Committee, says women athletes do not enjoy the same opportunities as men. Part of the problem is that our society still doesn't expect women to take on the role of an athlete.
This notion is clearly put in place at an early age, completely limiting women from having any chance at developing the basic skills it takes to become an athlete. Another factor contributing to the discouragement of women in sports is the media surrounding them.
Ever since we got here, I've only seen a handful of advertisements or inspirational videos for women in sport. Even when we looked for advertisements on the internet, this is what came up.
Some of the people we interviewed were able to shed some light on this.
Ahora actualmente está empezando están motivando a la mujer para que haga deporte. Hace años no. En España no. Ahora sí. Llevamos ya 10 años que sí.
Yes, and there's not much media about girls.
Yes,
right? Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
Sí, algunos, pero más bien a exhibirse, más bien para vender un coche, para esto, pero para deportes, aquello, para favorecer a la mujer, muy poco.
It seems that when it comes to the media supporting sports, it focuses mostly on men. While some feel that this has improved, a simple look at a Spanish newspaper says something quite different. We stopped at a newsstand to check out one of the sports magazines called Mundo Deportivo. When we flipped through the newspaper, every single picture was of men. There was not a single picture of a female athlete, and this is supposed to be about the world of sport. It's media such as this that reinforces the ever-prevalent gender inequalities.
This is supported by Coakley, who states that these simple acts of male superiority over women ultimately add to the status quo of female sports being put down in society. A recent example of this was in 2014, when Spain picked up their first female Davis Cup captain, tennis player Gala Leon. Tony Nadal had a lukewarm response to this decision, and it spread through the media like wildfire. Responses by people in power such as Nadal is even more discouraging to females participating in sport.
When the media doesn't encourage them to participate, they have no motivation to do so. In an article titled Spain's Sporting Cinderellas by Urla Verlar Fernandez, she says how the media responds that male sports fans far outnumber women. They believe that the better coverage of women's events would spark greater interest among sports fans of both sexes.
This explains so much about the lack of women participation in sport in Spain. We asked if it was common to go to the games or watch them, and these were some of the responses we got.
I hardly watch football matches or volleyball matches. I like more watching volleyball matches in the TV, but I don't go to the stadium. I think it's more male probably, but also this field is improving.
Yeah.
Because yes, every day more girls are watching football.
What do you feel the ratios for females to males at these games when watching?
80-20 maybe?
It's pretty common that would be more guys than girls, but I have seen a lot of girls as well watching.
It seems that the participation of women attending the games has increased over the past decade, and the issue is more that the media doesn't show women in sport enough to encourage them to participate themselves.
Let's go back to the beginning of our video when we stumped about almost every single person we talked to when we asked if they knew female athletes. First, let's take a look at how they respond when asked about males.
Sí.
Piquet.
Iker Casillas.
Oye, Messi.
Messi, sí.
Also play for Spain or no? No, really. No, sorry. That's okay.
Sí, podemos decir, no me sale el nombre ahora, Gemma Mengual.
Sí.
Sincronizada.
Mireia Belmonte, si os suena.
Oh, you were the fastest one so far.
Yeah.
The fact that they knew male athlete names off the top of their head, but it took them longer to come up with female athlete names, reiterates the underrepresentation of women in the media and positions of power within sports. In contrast, when asked, Taylor and Lauren answered quickly for both males and females.
Can you name a famous male athlete who plays for the U.S.?
Joakim Noah.
And what about a female?
Gabby Douglas.
Can you name a famous male athlete who plays for the U.S.?
Derek Rose.
Okay, and can you name a female?
Serena Williams.
This proves that there is more of a representation of females in sport in the United States. The culture around female sports in Spain is heavily influenced by the education females received while growing up and the media, or lack thereof, for women in sport. Another underlying cause that we discovered is that there is a stigma about women in sports that exists here in Spain.
The first time I went for a run outside, every person in the street stared at me. I was wearing long leggings and a long sleeve shirt, so I was confused as to why people were looking.
Creo que sí que está, como te he comentado ahora, es una moda. Yo soy deportista desde muy pequeña, entonces siempre he hecho deporte y no he necesitado que fuera una moda. Pero en general sí que mis amigas, mi familia, gente que conozco de mujeres necesitan el estímulo de ahora porque si no, no tienen tanta cultura de deporte.
After talking to some women, we uncovered that they are expected to wear little clothing to the gym, makeup, jewelry, and seem to treat the gym as more of a social hour than a workout. Therefore, it wasn't because of what Skylar was wearing while running, but simply because people are not used to seeing women participate in sporting activities.
There is a huge stereotype that the gym is a social thing for women here, but after going to Deer for the past few months, I found the majority of women do not fit the stereotype. As Stefania Hernandez, their European Taekwondo champion, says this is the ideal moment to end the stereotypes and that young women and girls get more involved in sport.
The change in attitude towards women in sports in Spain has to start with the people. In a cross-national study of 25 European countries, it was found that to achieve more female participation in sports will require different policy responses in the diverse European member states. Every country, and even every city, looks at females in sport differently, so their policies and culture surrounding the issue needs to be adjusted accordingly.
In an effort to increase women's participation in sport, in 2009, the Spanish Federation of Municipalities and Provinces implemented a project that had the goal of initiating women's participation in sports. Even with this being implemented, the media has a larger influence on women than any regulations would. To find out if this project helped, we asked if women are encouraged or discouraged to do sport by the people around them.
Yes, I think they are discouraged. Women are discouraged because we always think that it's a boy matter.
Discouraged.
Discouraged? Why do you feel that way?
Because very sexist here, no? In Spain. Yeah.
So you feel that are men the discouraging factor, or just the thought of women doing exercise?
I think that, Yeah, there's a lot of women doing exercise, but for males and females.
Yeah, so for men it's weird to see a woman exercising.
And for women it's weird to
do it. Oh.
Es una moda.
Es una moda,
y se está jugando también con la imagen, pues poca ropa, como todo muy para más excitar, digamos, que no realmente para trabajar lo que es la salud.
Es para hablar con amigas.
Es más para sociabilizar que no para realmente trabajar la salud.
As discussed in lecture, in many other Western societies, women's sport is subject to stereotyping, male control, and an underrepresentation of women in the media. For Spain, while things have improved in the past decade, the lack of education, the poor media coverage, and the stereotypes continue to cause Spanish women to separate themselves from Spanish sports culture into their own culture of sport as a social matter.
Women's sport is an expression of the right to equality and freedom of all women to take control of their bodies and participate in sports publicly. This is a declaration by the European Parliament following the report on women in sport in 2003. Women need to continue to be active in sport in order to break this atmosphere and increase the acceptance of women in sport in Spain.